think I should have found this before we started streaming. Well, hey everybody, welcome to the This Guy Has Got to Go podcast, Facebook live stream, YouTube and Periscope live stream. I'm Doug Padgett, and we're on the Vote Common Good bus, where we are traveling around the country, doing everything we can to make a reality that which Rob and I call out for every week on this podcast, that this president has got to go. We're back on the road holding our socially distanced, life-changing outdoor events. Tomorrow night in Columbus, Ohio. So if you, friends, family, loved ones, or people you don't care much about live in Columbus, send them our way because we'd love to have them. We're going to be at 6 o'clock, not just doing what we do here, which is going through a long list of the reasons why the President of the United States should take the honorable step and tonight say, therefore, tomorrow morning at 11:59 a.m., I will resign the presidency. We already missed the window we've been calling for this president to take, which was to say, I will not accept nor will I seek the nomination of my party. Since last time we met, Donald Trump has accepted the nomination of his party, which I didn't watch. Did you? Did you watch it?
Not a second.
You didn't watch a second of the Republican?
And in fairness, I didn't watch a second of the Democratic National Committee.
You're just an unpleased man when it comes to voting.
Political conventions are 4 days long propaganda where there's very little actual news that's made, and
right, they're like watching all-star games in sports.
Yeah. I'd rather get caught up on Ozark.
But when was the last time you didn't watch either convention? Let me just ask you that. This
this
first
year.
time?
Yeah,
this is the first time.
This year.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot has happened. I mean, the DNC happened, the RNC happened. Steve Bannon got arrested. Lots of stuff has taken place since a couple of weeks since we have been doing an episode of This Guy's Got to Go.
Yeah, and we're traveling around holding live meetings to recruit people in the 6 swing states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida, Ohio, that matter most in this election. But deep in the hearts of people all over the country, the corruption and cruelty of this president needs to be swapped out for the competency and the kindness of another president.
Yep.
And as I said the other night, Joe Biden is not a perfect president. He's not a perfect candidate. And we don't need the president to solve all of our problems, but we don't need the president to be our primary problem. And this president, as you say, from the corruption of Steve Bannon this week, and then the violence in Kenosha and him siding again with the white supremacists that have murdered people in Kenosha and in Portland, and siding with the police without any qualification when they shoot people in the back. It's just, he's unpresidential at the highest of levels. Just simply.
He's completely unfit to be president of the United States. And we've got 62 days.
Is that where we're at? 62 days?
62 days to make sure that he does not have a second term.
Because there's a day coming when you can do something about it. One of my little joking mantras has been, every day you can complain about it. Every day you can prepare for it. But there's one day you can do something about it. And I used to say that's November 3rd. And it still is. Technically, it's still November 3rd. Because that's the day that they're going to count your ballot, or when your ballot has to be received. So your action is going to be in place on November 3rd. But you can vote early.
That's right.
As I like to say, vote early and vote often.
Exactly.
Just not the same election.
Yeah. Vote by mail as many times as you can.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep sending you an official ballot, you just keep sending them right back in. Now you're only going to receive one. Have you ever voted by mail, by the way?
I've never voted by mail.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually don't like to vote early. I like to go on election day and vote in person. That's been my MO for voting. And there's something about election day being a thing that I like. I think election day should be a national holiday, and I think we should make it easy. We should always do whatever it takes to make it easier for people to vote, not harder.
Yeah,
and,
for sure.
And I'm not opposed to vote by mail at all, especially during a pandemic. But I like the feeling of going on election day and casting my ballot. So I'm not an early voter. And
What are you gonna do this time when you're out?
I'm gonna
sitting
vote by
outside?
mail.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use
it's gonna be
voting by mail.
You're just a whole new man this year.
That's right. Exactly.
You're a whole new guy.
Yep. Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that two people have changed me more than any other in my life: Jesus Christ,
Your Lord and Savior,
and Donald Trump. Completely and utterly changed my life in the last 4 years.
Is Vanessa Ryerson comfortable with that short list?
Yeah, I think she's okay with it.
Vanessa has something to bring up in your next therapy session again about how she can make the top 2 on the short list.
Speaking of therapy,
yes.
Maybe someone who needs to go to therapy.
Yeah.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
So I read this out loud together on the bus today, that she has a memoir coming out next Tuesday, it sounds like, because books come out on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I say that every time. Have you ever noticed that?
It's true.
I bring it up every time. Whenever I host an author for a podcast, I always say, your book comes out on Tuesday, because Tuesday is the day when books come out. Movies come out on Fridays.
People might not know that.
Books come out on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And they don't know why, and I feel like it's like one of those like Mr. Know-It-All bad habits, like something, you're not sure everyone knows it, so you bring it up every time.
How many books have you written?
10.
10.
And you know what? They all came out on Tuesdays.
I've written 2, and both of them came out on Tuesdays.
Because that's industry standard. Because they have to have a standard day in which they're counting book sales.
Yep.
And that goes actually by week. They don't count book sales by days. They count them by weeks. So there has to be a consistent weekly date that they're going to start. It's Tuesdays.
Tuesday. So Sarah Huckabee Sanders' memoir.
No, if you self-publish,
you could do it
you
any
can
day you
let it
want.
out any day you want.
Sarah Huckabee Sanders, not self-publishing, probably got a really hefty advance for her book. Comes out on Tuesday. A memoir about her time in the White House.
Do you have the book title there?
It's something about speaking for myself.
Speaking for myself, and the subtitle is something like you would write, like Faith, Freedom, and the Fight to Save America, or something like that.
Yeah. And in the book, story...
Faith, freedom, and fight. These Republicans, they love...
The
they want faith to be in there, right?
Absolutely.
Because, that shows that they're right with the...
Well, I wrote a book that had faith in the subtitle.
Those you Republicans do.
Yeah.
But then the other kind of Republicans, they love to throw in a fight and a freedom.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to conjure up that Revolutionary War, and most of the, many of them also want to conjure up the keep slavery as a legal entity in the United States and fight for the freedom from the federal government with their states' rights.
So Sarah Huckabee Sanders tells a story in this book about going to North Korea,
with the
president. In a meeting, Kim Jong-un winks at her.
Yeah, deadpan stares her in the face according to this thing, and then gives her
makes her a little feels a little uncomfortable. She feels like Kim Jong-un is coming on to her, and then is in a limousine on the way to the airport after the meeting with the president and Chief of Staff John Kelly at the time, relates this story, and the president suggests that Sarah Huckabee Sanders needs to return back to Pyongyang and, quote, take one for the team, implying that she needs to have a little...
sexual intercourse.
I was going to say encounter, but sexual intercourse.
Donald Trump, he's a man who has sexual intercourse with many people that he's not married to. So
apparently the President of the United States and the Chief of Staff, John Kelly, spend a lot of time in the limousine
laughing about it.
Guffawing about the idea of Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Kim Jong-un having an international incident.
Well, and look, you could see how someone would say, I could see how this all unfolds, right? They're in what they call the Beast, the presidential limousine. It comes up where Sarah Huckabee Sanders says, hey, just so you know, Kim Jong-un was, as the press secretary, he's looking across the table and giving me the googly eyes and gives me the wink.
Pass a little note, do you like me? Check the box, yes or no.
And then, and someone kind of jokes, like, hey, Sarah, you got to go back and take one for the team. Like, that's ridiculous, haha, right? That's the end of it. What's curious is, that was 2.5 years ago. She put it in her book.
Yeah.
So she didn't take it as some little lighthearted...
It stuck with her.
It stuck with her and bothered her, and she raised the idea that this was not like, oh, you could see how someone was sort of trying to sort of dismiss this as nonsense. She felt, in my view of reading that bit of the book excerpt, that she was bothered not only by what Kim Jong-un did, but by John Kelly, who's I don't have any fondness for this guy. One of Trump's generals, former chief of staff and former general, and murderer of innocents around the world, and then Donald Trump. They all joined together to join the side of Kim Jong-un in making Sarah Huckabee Sanders feel disquieted. And
it's almost as if the President of the United States does not understand how to properly express respect for women.
Yeah, he's piggish.
Yes.
I don't mean to insult pigs. He's rude and boring.
Boorish.
He's trying about it.
He is.
This is one of the reasons, and all kidding, front and center here. This is one of the reasons why Donald Trump has got to go as president, because there's just this level of respect to any chief executive of the executive branch of any entity, in this case, the United States.
And listen, Sarah Huckabee Sanders has been more loyal to Donald Trump than anybody
until this book came out.
But the fact that he would not even defend or stand up for or be on the side of one of these people who's been more loyal to him than anyone. She got out and lied for him day after day after day, that he would demean her and laugh at her and have a good chuckle at her expense. Is just it just is another example of the profound cruelty that this man has.
Yes.
And here we are defending Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
And she deserves to be defended,
Absolutely,
right? She deserved to be defended that day. And the fact these guys are just simply crass about the use of sex to ultimately get what you want. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Like treating a woman as a commodity
in a public workplace.
Yes.
In a work, like these are the things that just make people, and I know people already in my world saying things like, "Oh, I can't believe you'd make that big of a deal out of a joke." Well, it's exactly why you make a big deal out of it, right? Because this is the kind of stuff that women feel gets passed by all the time, and the fact that Miss Sanders chose to put this in her memoir shows that she was. I'm guessing so. Now maybe she'll come out and say, "Oh, this was just all in good fun, and I was one of the boys, and here was a joke we had." Now I don't know this because I haven't read all the excerpts. We could be proven totally wrong. We could end up on Fox News as the two chief leaders of this president has got to go movement have been made a fool of, because Sarah Huckabee Sanders will be on there and say, "No, I did not feel offended by that. I'm tough. Women who are offended by that shouldn't be. Look, I wasn't offended by that." I hope she was offended. I'm trusting she was. I'm offended by it.
And even if she says she's not offended by it, it is not proper behavior for the President of the United States to be joking about his press secretary having sex with a dictator.
And in an act of taking one for the team. In other words, we need you to be violated so that this country can get what it wants. And that's the problem, is that Trump, even in the era of people paying a lot of attention to this, again, boorish, piggish, rude.
Speaking of piggish,
unbecoming.
Speaking of piggish, so the president's new director of the CDC, because hasn't he replaced the director of the CDC? Am I remembering that correctly?
I'm quite sure he's replaced
is now suggesting that maybe the approach we ought to take with the coronavirus in the midst of a global pandemic is to go the herd immunity approach.
Just kind of wait for everyone to get it. Which, as a prop, for some reason on the Vote Common Good bus, there is cow-patterned pillows.
Yeah.
For the herd immunity.
That's not to say that we're pro herd immunity, though. I mean, herd immunity. No. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend to be one on Facebook. So I don't know if the herd immunity approach is the way to go. I do know, however, that was the approach that Sweden took.
Yes.
And Sweden
and the UK.
And Sweden the UK started with that and abandoned it
because it didn't work.
Yes. Sweden has like the highest percentage cases of coronavirus and is like leading the world in deaths.
Yes.
Because they just basically took this approach of like, hey, everybody's going to get it, everybody's going to get it, and like.
Now, to be clear, I believe this is true. I don't want hate mail from my Swede friends on this, but I believe this is true. Sweden is leading in percentage of population deaths.
Yes.
And I've heard many people argue. I was sitting in a moving van with someone who made this argument to me. Norway, which is a little country next to, or similarly sized country next to Sweden, small populations, both of them, like 5 million people. They shut down their economy and had hundreds of deaths. Sweden let their economy go with herd immunity, or kept their economy running until the people in the country shut it down because they just stopped going to work and stopped going to restaurants. But they let it go. And so Norway took I'm going to say a number which I don't know is accurate, but it's something like this: $4 billion economic hit. Mm-hmm. Sweden, at some point 5 weeks ago, had not taken that hit. And this person's argument was, so 5,000 people die. Is it worth $4 billion? What's the dollar amount that you would put on
a human life?
A human life to say how many can die? And actually, the government does this all the time. Like when they put out, rules about clean air or caps on bottles, or the FDA does this, they're assigning a dollar amount to know how much impact there is on a policy, how much financial impact on a policy versus. So that's people are doing this. But his argument was, he was trying to even say about the United States, we've seen a multi-trillion-dollar account. How much would have been worked? And that's why I bring this up, because that's what the CDC guy is saying. Because he's not a guy who does work in communicative diseases or public health. He's somebody who's on the financial side. So they're basically making the Sweden argument, which is, a lot of people died, but per dollar, that's a deal worth making. Trump is on the verge of saying it's like he comes up to this line regularly and basically says, if we hadn't shut down the government, 2 million people would have died. He gets really close to saying, I think that was a mistake.
Yes.
We should have let 2 million people die and kept the economy going, because that would have been a value that we could have accepted. And he hasn't come directly out and said it, but these guys pushing for herd immunity are saying that.
And it's a ethical argument that basically takes a utilitarian approach, that people are only as valuable as they are to what they contribute, and it's just not acceptable. But at the same time, the director of the CDC is talking about herd immunity.
Yes.
The very same time, there's a report out today. I think even as we're speaking now, it's the headline on the Drudge Report.
How do you know?
Because I read the Drudge Report.
Okay.
Because I don't live in an echo chamber.
Yeah, okay, go on.
The headline on the Drudge Report is that the Trump administration sent a letter to governors around the country instructing them to be ready to have vaccine locations on November 1st. Preparing to have a vaccine ready to go on November 1st. Now, I think what the president is not factoring into that is that early voting starts a long time before November 1st. And maybe that's going to be too little too late for his re-election chances.
Oh, you're seeming to imply that this date is not set simply because that's when they think they're going to have a vaccine.
Do you think they're going to have a vaccine by November 1st?
You're saying that they want to create the theater that there is a vaccine, even though people haven't heard about it, so they can say we've put it in place.
It's going to be like the testing. Anybody can get tested. If you need to get tested, you can get tested. It was all a lie.
You're saying that the president will say we have tested.
Hey, we've got a vaccine.
Vaccine sites.
You need a vaccine, we get a vaccine. Yeah. He's going to say there's a vaccine, and then there's going to be all of these people on Facebook saying, you can get a vaccine.
Are you implying that from this point, that in 60 days, they're not going to have completed the trials in order to have a vaccine out? Are you suggesting that 60 days is not enough to go from level 3 trials to producing a safe enough vaccine for popular distribution?
I'm suggesting that whatever mice no longer have the coronavirus right now, that probably 60 days from now to mass production of that and distribution of that is the same government that was unable to get PPP to people, the same government that was unable to get testing widespread to people. The same government that totally bungled the coronavirus response from beginning to end is not going to have a vaccine ready in 62 days from now, or 60 days from now.
Well, look, here, and as a supporter of vaccines, I don't know where you come down on this.
I am pro-vaccine.
Okay.
Were you about to say I strike you as an anti-vaxxer? Because I am not.
The Drudge Report thing's just got me wheeling.
Yeah.
But I don't know where we're going from here. I don't know where this goes.
Pro-vaccine.
Me too. Pro-vaccine. I've taken many and used Visine and Vaseline. I mean, I'm into all the V-leans. I'm into the V-enes.
We are on the bus. You have seen my bag of medicine.
Yes, you are.
None of which
you are.
is like homeopathic. It's real medicine.
You are a pharmaceutical funder.
I am.
You fund Big Pharma. Your campaign didn't get any Big Pharma money.
No, it did not.
Big Pharma got money from you.
Exactly.
But look, as somebody who's very pro-vaccine, that I am, I'm not getting that vaccine in November.
No! It's way too soon.
Some vaccine that they rushed around and shoved out there. And
how many people are going to die from the vaccine?
Just the idea that Donald Trump...
Let's put it in quotes, the vaccine.
Yeah, the Trump scene. That the Trump administration had its greedy little fingers on the scales of getting that thing pushed out. Come on.
Yeah.
It's and now somehow Trump, who is a non-vaxxer...
Yes.
And so is his daughter, and so is her husband, Jared Kushner. Who
has brought about Middle East peace, by the way.
He finished that up? Did he get that wrapped up?
Yeah, I think he did.
Did he get rid of the bed bugs at Mar-a-Lago?
He solves all the problems.
He's a problem solver. Now what's ironic for them is that until it's clear that this vaccine isn't coming out...
Yeah.
They have to be the pro-vaccine people.
I know, it's great.
Yeah, and they are, and in fact, I've had maybe I mentioned this on the This Guy Has Got to Go podcast before, but I have friends who are very progressive politically, but they're also non-vaxxers, and they know that the Trump administration is non-vaccine supporting, because Trump has been one of those people out flouting that kids that struggle with autism, early onset autism, have been influenced by he blames it on vaccines, and the whole family's part of that medical falsehood. So they've made their careers inside those. What's going to happen with these people? They're going to pivot and become anti-vaxxers for the coronavirus vaccine after January 20th, when Donald Trump is out of office and served a subpoena.
It's almost as if their politics is more important than their principles.
It's almost as if that. Yeah. I mean, I want to be pointed.
Yeah. As long as we're talking about medical things, and we always walk up to a line here whenever we talk about medical things on This Guy's Got to Go. It seems like there was a report this week that the administration is denied, but there was a report this week that the president might have suffered a series of mini strokes when he was taken from the White House to Walter Reed Medical Center and received a number of tests, and include...
I was just checking the audio.
All right.
Just a little buzz. I hear a buzz, so I was checking the audio.
Yeah, well, we are on a bus.
We are on a bus. So if you're hearing a buzz...
I'm not in the shed today. I'm, next to you on
you're
the
in the bus. You've really upgraded from the shed to the bus.
So, apparently, there is this report that the president suffered a series of mini strokes.
This is way back when they kind of rushed him out of the White House
and
right over to Walter Reed. And this is not the test that gave him person, woman, man.
For everybody who's watching, you see these great Vote Common Good T-shirts here that say person, women, man, camera, TV.
This was not that test that he had to have.
But maybe he had to have that test as a follow-up.
As a follow-up. That's what I'm getting at, because he had mini strokes. I mean, that's my own belief.
Have you seen the video? I know you have, because I texted it to you. Maybe everybody else hasn't. The video of the president essentially unable to use his right leg, limping along.
No.
Oh, I sent this to you.
Wow.
You don't read my text.
I may have received it. Red
leaving me on red.
Red doesn't
leaving me on red. video.
No, I did see that you
the
sent that
president
today, and I had not yet clicked on it.
It was a couple days ago, but limping along, like unable.
Is this not the one with the red circle around his pointy shoes?
Oh no, that's a different one.
Okay,
that
see,
one because
apparently
the president is wearing lifts in his shoes.
That's what the pointy shoe is about? I thought it was
It's
just
not
making
that,
fun
no,
of him having pointy boots.
No. Don't look at the pointy part. Look at the heel. He essentially has got 2-inch lifts in his shoes.
He's wearing high heels?
Yes! Look at the picture.
Well, all I could get around was the pointy part of the toe and why
No!
he's wearing boots. Like, no president wears... First of all, his design cut on his suit is another reason this guy has got to go.
His
I mean,
suits
it is a
It is
classic
1990s baggy suits.
Yes, it is just... I mean, truly, like... You think it's his size and his weight that he's just like, I need it to be big so I feel comfortable?
His suits are ridiculous. Yeah. His pants are so baggy.
But you're thinking that he's wearing this just to be taller. You're not saying he's got a short leg or something.
It could be that he wants to be taller, or there's been some speculation of his posture, the way he stands.
Yes.
That maybe it's the lifts in his shoes that cause him to stand that way.
That leans him forward.
Because
that's the dementia stance.
Yes, it's really bizarre the way he stands. But apparently, I mean, not to steal a phrase from our friends at the Lincoln Project. Our partners at the Lincoln Project. But this president's not well. He's not well. There's something wrong physically.
Yeah.
And he has tweeted about Joe Biden's physical health, which what we know about this president is that what he does is he projects onto others things that are true about himself. And so
or confesses things that are true about himself.
Yes, suggesting, I don't know if you saw, he suggested that he and Joe Biden should be drug tested before their debates. That will be their presidential debates.
Because Joe said the thing about cocaine to that reporter? Is that why?
I don't know.
Trump's thinking, like, if I had said cocaine, it's because I'm a snorter. Rumor has it that he snorts Adderall. Do you know this?
I have heard this, but I didn't think that was a rumor we were allowed to talk about.
No, I'm saying it's a rumor.
Oh.
That's true, from what I've heard. That he has an Adderall addiction.
We're going very, like, we've got inside information on this.
Oh, I heard it on Inside Edition.
Oh. That's not where I heard it. Oh. I heard it from someone who knows someone who knows someone.
In other words, a rumor.
Total rumor and innuendo.
I would put no credibility behind it.
The president is not well.
Yes.
He's not well physically, and he's not being honest about that. Yeah. They're not this. This is a family that believes that physical illness is a weakness.
Yes.
And he is refusing to be honest about whatever physical ailments he has.
Right.
And it just continues to put up this facade of dishonesty that we cannot trust him about anything.
And so we have repeatedly said that his corruption and cruelty are the two primary reasons. But the other night we were at the Vote Common Good rally in Pittsburgh, and there were some counter messaging people there.
Protesters.
I guess it's fair to call them protesters. Did you feel like it was really protesters? I mean,
I would call them protesters.
I mean, as you and I and Calvin sitting across the way, having protested walking down the street from Charlottesville to Washington, D.C. and closing down a highway as protesters, that felt protesty, what we did days before. Yeah. This felt like it was a counter rally.
Yeah. Some folks
with some rudeness.
Yes, there was some rudeness thrown in.
But when I was talking to those folks afterward, and they were talking about, and I was asking them if, as people who are advocating for the criminalization of abortion, if they'd also be willing to be pro-life, which are two really different causes.
Yes.
And said, to me, being pro-life means that you're going to be against the death penalty, you're going to be anti-war and military fundings to the level that we have it because it's designed to be in war, and you want laws that restrict the use of personal weaponry that people use to kill one another.
Mm-hmm.
And these people were fervently against all three of those, and said to me, Donald Trump is the first president to never get us into a war. They're making a big statement. They weren't happy. It was funny. They weren't happy. They're like, look, I didn't really see this coming, and I'm not sure that it needs to be our position, but how come you lefties, how come you anti-war lefties can't support Trump for keeping us out of wars and pulling us out of Syria and getting us out of Afghanistan, right? So these people are trying to make a positive argument. I've heard this from others. I don't know if you've heard this, that people should be supportive. But just like this comment you're making, he lies about everything. You don't get to say, I'm an anti-war president and I have funded the military more than any other president. In other words, I have bought you by, edict and demand and budget all the weaponry necessary for you to kill and destroy many, many more people than you did before, but consider me the anti-war president. And then these people are arguing, well, peace through strength.
Yeah.
Like, peace through strength is peace through threat, right? It's
speak softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah, it's I'm going to hit you with this stick.
Yeah,
right.
Well, the president has said that. You should punch him in the face.
Speak softly and carry a big shield, or carry an ice pack, or carry a tourniquet.
Carry a soup can.
It's carry a stick, a frozen water bottle, and a Campbell's soup can. So it's just, all the way across the board, even when you want to think, well, maybe there's a thing. And I know, we're so anti-Trump that we just can't see clearly, right?
Yes. Though if we want to be pro-Trump for a second,
okay,
I'm totally on board with buying Greenland.
Did you get this off the Drudge Report? You think we should just try to buy Greenland so he can have a golf course there?
I know it's terribly colonial. But the idea of buying Greenland
for
just
what?
makes me laugh.
What do you want it for? Did you get a deal
on
it?
Just makes me laugh.
It's like garage sale shit.
Right.
Garage sale shopping.
The price was so good. So a couple other really ridiculous.
Why do you want it? Because the cord was a quarter?
Yeah, ridiculous things to talk about. The Big Ten. We're in Columbus, Ohio right now, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah.
One of the greatest football teams in the land.
Which is appropriate that you use the, and you should as well when you go to the Home Depot.
No, the Ohio State University.
It's the Home Depot.
If you're ever watching Monday Night Football and they have the guys say where they went to school, Ohio State graduates will always say the Ohio State University.
And Walmart and Home Depot people always say work at the Home Depot because the official name of the store is the Home Depot.
There you go. So we are in Columbus, Ohio now, home of the Ohio State University Buckeyes, a part of the...
Down the road from the Home Depot.
Part of the Big Ten Football Conference.
I'm mocking the Ohio State University.
I know you are. I'm trying to ignore it. The Big Ten has decided that in the midst of a global pandemic, it is unsafe to have their football season. And they have voted, I think the Big Ten Conference has 12 teams.
Sure.
Of course it does.
It's like 20th Century Fox.
Of course it does.
Yes.
The Big Ten has 12 teams. And I think the vote was 10-2.
Well, that's because one of those isn't so big.
Yeah.
And that includes the Ohio State University.
The Ohio State University has a football stadium of 100,000 people.
It's the University of Minnesota, let's just put it that way.
And filling
the
horseshoe in Columbus with 110,000 people, 109,000 people, whatever it fits. The idea of putting that many people in a stadium, having a football season, the Big Ten has decided to cancel their football season. Yeah. The president, have you seen this, is now attempting to convince the commissioner of the Big Ten to reverse that.
Oh.
Do you know where, the Big Ten, major schools of the Big Ten, Penn State University in State College, Pennsylvania.
Oh, here we go. You're gonna, yeah. These are the swing state.
Ohio State University
in Ohio, where we find ourselves right now.
Michigan State in Michigan. Wisconsin.
Yes.
The Golden Gophers.
No. Wisconsin.
They're the Golden Gophers, aren't they?
Minnesota is the Golden Gophers.
Wisconsin Badgers.
Badgers, not
Wisconsin
Gophers.
Badgers. Sorry about that. Apologize to.
Well, there go the 3 viewers we had.
I know.
They're from Minnesota.
Sorry. So Wisconsin.
Yeah.
The Big Ten is a Midwest conference.
Yes. It's a swing state conference.
It's a swing state conference. I think the president feels like he's going to be blamed for there not being a football season because he has so desperately mismanaged the coronavirus and our response to it, that he is trying to save the Big Ten season.
We need to start bringing that up
in an attempt to hold on to these swing states that he's going to lose. That he won in 2016, but he's going to lose primarily because of the efforts of Vote Common Good.
Vote Common Good, because what we're doing for faith, hope, and love for a change on Election Day. Find us over at votecommongood.com. And when you're there, don't miss the donate button. Look, I'm glad that the Big Ten thought for some reason that health was a reason to not have football. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that will carry over to brain damage and injury, and will cause them to again say that we've now decided at the Big Ten that health
unlikely.
Is more important.
It is unlikely.
Oh, it's unlikely. It's unlikely. Brandon Pfeiffer has joined us. He has now walked in the room. Yeah, how long have we been going? Is it time for us to be
too long,
done?
I'm sure.
No, we go until we're done.
Yeah. Are we ready to be done?
No, I got 2 more things.
Okay, so let's go.
Our Apple Store friend is here to pick up a shirt.
Are they going to poke in and say hi?
So we met a couple of folks at the Apple Store who liked our person, women, man,
Camera
TV
sure.
T-shirts, and so we're giving them some T-shirts because that's what we do. And
hello.
Hey there.
How's it going?
Good, how are you guys?
Well, we're doing what we can to save democracy from.
No, you guys are amazing.
Yeah.
Are you gonna work? I just got off of work, dude. I had to call him to see my shirt.
That's awesome.
I need my shirt.
Are you gonna come to our little shindig of an event tomorrow night?
Unfortunately, I spoke before. I had to think about that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, my friend's birthday. She has reservations at 7 p.m. at Ruth Chris. So
Ooh.
we'll be able to.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Ruth
I know,
Chris.
right?
I was going to tell you, hey, democracy's more important than your friend's birthday, but it is at Ruth Chris.
It's at Ruth Chris. Yeah. Go unless you're having to buy.
Let's taste the food first.
Well, we start at 6. You can be at Ruth Chris at 7.
You said what?
We start at 6. You can be over there by 7.
It's downtown.
I understand that.
No,
We're just playing.
My heart is with you, but
Thank you.
I told my coworkers, so I'm trying to spread the word so that they can be there because I can't. So they will.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'd be great.
This is love.
Oh, it's very kind of you.
I'm gonna look at your website and stuff.
Good.
And,
Good.
where are you guys from, by the way?
All over.
All over.
I love.
Yeah, Arkansas, Minnesota, Chicago. We have people
You're
from Portland.
Wherever you're at is where you're from.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love that.
That's right. Do you want to take one for her too?
Oh yes. She
All
might
right, we
actually
push the door button
Oh
there
yeah,
and
she
we'll
needed.
just close this guys out. All right, so what else you got?
So,
Okay.
we can edit this out of the... That's an excellent interruption. We just got interrupted by an employee from the Apple Store who loves our T-shirts.
So we
Are
walked
these
by-
T-shirts available online?
Yes, they are. Yeah. So at the Vote Common Good website, where you can go and don't miss the donate button. So as we were walking by the Apple Store, I'd ask a question. Brandon did, and that person there came out because she saw Brandon's shirt, person, woman, man, camera, TV, and said, "I love your shirt so much." And he said, "Well, maybe we'll bring you one." And then somehow she ended up coming over here and picking up a shirt.
Yep. And then a security guard walked over and said, very quietly, "I want one too."
I want one in a medium. So anyway, if we're not doing any other good, we're moving T-shirts.
That's right. The president has said some of the most ridiculous things that he's said over the last couple of days.
Yes.
He did an interview with Laura Ingraham in which he talked about there are people being in the dark shadows, people on the streets who are controlling things, people in dark shadows, people that you don't even know. You don't even know them. You don't even know them. I'll tell you later who they are. You don't even know them. They're in the dark shadows. And he talked about there being a plane full of thugs.
Yes.
Who apparently were flying somewhere to do something.
And you can't tell who.
You can't tell who, but it's under investigation.
It's the
It is utter
of
ridiculousness.
Right.
The President of the United States dealing in rumor and innuendo himself, dealing in conspiracy theories on national television.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to do that, start a podcast. You don't do it from the Oval.
Dark shadows.
Dark shadows.
A plane of thugs. I mean, do you remember Mitt Romney getting in trouble because he said he had binders full of women?
Yeah.
The president has planes full of thugs.
Yeah, planes full of thugs that are going to undisclosed locations and these are not protesters, these are rioters.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's going to send, and then him complaining that the mayors of cities have not asked for his help. He is the problem.
Yes.
The police overreach, police abuse is the problem. And he's literally saying what you should do is send in people to use more force against protesters. Yeah. He is just utterly out of touch and has
these
got to go.
These protesters, these rioters, their weapon of choice apparently is soup cans.
Cans of soup.
Cans of soup. He said that what he said is that they have backpacks full of cans of soup, and what they do is they throw them with force because they're easier to throw than a brick, and they can do a lot of damage. But if someone asks you about it, you just say, "Oh, well, this is just a can of soup to feed my family."
Yeah, that's my lunch. I'm just carrying it home for my family.
No, yeah, just for my family. It is. There we go. We got a text from Bing there.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the president's suggesting that rioters are using soup cans as weapons.
Yes. And what this allows him to do is then to deputize his federal agents to start taking even food from people if they determine that's now classified as a riot gear. This is where it gets dangerous, right?
Yes.
This is where it goes from him just being a goofball, unprepared, and why is he talking about this when there's 200,000 people that have died of this disease? It's just madness. To, oh no, he's preparing, making a rationale for why a person carrying groceries could have groceries taken from him, because then anything can be determined to be weaponry. I mean, what other reason would you babble on at a news conference about this very thing?
And also, if there's any kind of humanitarian support that is going to protesters,
Yes.
from groups that would want to support them, such as when we were walking through the streets of down the highway in Virginia, and there was a family that stopped at a store and bought a bunch of bottles of water and brought them out to us and handed them to us because they wanted to support us in some tangible way. Now those things can be confiscated.
In fact, I heard a story just today of people in Kenosha, Wisconsin, a church that was bringing aid to the protesters, water and Gatorade and Powerade and masks so they could be safe from COVID. And those were confiscated by federal agents because they were accused of being harboring and protecting and sourcing rioters. And now there's a big legal scuffle going on about this. This is happening in Trump's America. Now, the best thing is, and we don't spend a lot of time talking about Joe Biden, what he does here, because this is a podcast just about why Trump has got to go. But I thought Biden's argument this last week of saying, this is Donald Trump's America.
Yes.
Like, this is what you've got. This is Trump is literally trying to use, and this is, to his point, he's trying to use the current situation to say, this is what it would look like if Joe Biden were president.
Right.
The thing you're experiencing with me as president is what you would get if Joe Biden were president. That is such unuseful propaganda. It's just unbelievable gobbledygook.
It is,
and that people would fall for that.
It is propaganda on the face of it.
Yes.
And the fact that people would fall for it is so disheartening.
Well, and they're not, and we are confident that they're not.
Right.
This country is going to rise up.
Now, maybe a week from now, when we do This Guy Has Got to Go, we might have some really good news to share with our listeners.
Yeah, we might know some things. Boy, this is like the podcast of rumor and innuendo.
Yeah, we might know some things.
I'll tell you later.
That would encourage folks to keep doing the work, not with desperation, not with fear, not with panic, but with real confidence.
Yes,
we have to do the work.
Yes.
For the next 61 days.
I'm going to use this.
62
I'll
days.
use this.
We have to do the work, but let's do it with confidence.
I'll use this metaphor next time too. In fact, maybe I'll use it at rallies. Let me try it here. Sometimes in Minnesota, where the snow can get higher than the treads on your tires, you can get your car stuck. I don't know if this happens in Arkansas.
Not usually.
But you can get your car stuck. Mm-hmm. And what will often happen is, as you start to drive, your wheels are spinning, and they're digging in deeper, so you create this little rut that gets on the side. So now your tires are going deeper than the snow, so the snow's up on the side, and you have to shovel it out. And you get people who help you push your car out. Well, the way you push your car out is you go in reverse a little bit, and then in drive, and reverse and drive.
Rock it out.
You rock it out. And maybe you did this in Pennsylvania. And you rock it out, and you can feel when that car is starting to move.
Yes.
Right when you feel it, everybody yells, "Don't stop now!"
Yes.
right?
Right.
Don't stop.
Because if you stop, it'll just go
It'll
back
just go
into
right
the
back in. And so while it's rocking, that's the time you know it's going to get out of there. But it's also the very moment you have to push as hard as you can.
That's the moment we're at right now.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That was born right now in live motion.
I like it.
Yeah, that was not material at all. You look at the script; it's not in there.
It's not in there at all.
Let's rock this thing out.
That's
let's,
right.
Let's rock the vote.
We should.
Should we?
We should trademark that. Rock the vote.
I'm going to use that. I'm
Yeah.
going to use it.
Yeah.
If you watch now the Vote Common Good live stream, look for that little analogy. I'm going to really build it up to you. I'm
Yeah.
going to get a snowsuit out. I'm going to get gloves on, a shovel.
Excellent idea. So
I'm going to have a little bus.
Ultimately, what it boils down to is that this guy's got to go, and he's not going on his own. So we got to make him go.
Yes. Yeah. Because
we got to make him go.
Sometimes you got to push the car out of the rut.
That's right.
You done?
I'm done.
Oh, I don't think I was live streaming.